Welcome to Startup Hacks, a We Global Studios podcast. We explore the stories and secret strategies that women entrepreneurs use to save time and money when bootstrapping and building their businesses. I'm your host, Fernanda Carapinha, and today I'm so excited to welcome Marissa Waldman. Marissa is the co-founder and Chief Excellence Officer of Leaderology. Marissa and her team are on a critical mission to develop today's leaders and equip them to fearlessly solve tomorrow's challenges. A respected industry executive and Gold Stevie Award winner for women-run workplaces, Marissa has dedicated her entire career to serving her colleagues, her clients, and the HR business community. Welcome, Marissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. I'm so excited to do this interview and for the audience to really get to know all of your secret strategies around leadership. So I thought maybe we could start by giving us a little context about your background, where you grew up, how you got started in this field.
Thank you. So I grew up in Southern California, born and raised, and I'm the youngest of four in a family of six. I come from a very long line of very strong women who sort of stepped into their power, as it were, at their as was appropriate for their time in this world. My mother is a serial entrepreneur and the first feminist I ever met. She was reading The Feminine Mystique and stating her place in the world back when I was in pre-adolescence, and actually graduated with her bachelor's degree on her 50th birthday, and really showed me how to go after what I wanted. And it's funny, one of the earliest pieces of advice she ever gave me that sticks with me still. She said, Marissa, if you stand up straight and walk in like you own the place, 90% of the people are going to get out of your way. And a little bit of a fake it till you make it kind of mentality, but she continues to be a very confident, intelligent woman, entrepreneurial, funny, driven, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot from her.
Wow, that's wonderful. And what did you think, kind of growing up, watching her kind of come into her own power kind of later in life, going back to school? Had you thought about pursuing an entrepreneurial life at that point, or were you just more focused on going to school and getting job experience?
Just focused pretty much on going to school and getting job experience. Both of my parents recreated their careers numerous times. And so I was fascinated watching them. They were deeply in love and had a very strong marriage. And they still found tremendous satisfaction and passion from their careers. And so I came from a place of believing that you can have an incredible family life and an incredible career. And I didn't want to settle for anything less. And so I started off my career actually pretty early on running law firms and then moving into career counseling. I was working at a very young age with welfare moms who the state of Florida required them to get jobs, and they didn't quite know how to go about doing that. And so I was hired to help in what we called the Job Club, teach them how to look for work. So early on, I was very invested in helping people find satisfaction from their work. And I think because of the entrepreneurial spirit that I was raised with, which sounds sort of cliche, but I believed, I always made the mistake of thinking that I kind of owned the company everywhere I worked. I had a very much an owner's mindset, sort of coupled with a need to be of service and to be helpful. And I brought that to everything I did long before I started my own company.
So talk to us a little bit then about your transition from kind of corporate work to kind of more of your entrepreneurial life, especially in the leadership area.
So I've been in the leadership area for, 25, 30 years, a long time, helping people with their careers, helping people step into that leadership mindset, regardless of whether they are leading people or whatever their title is. I have a strong belief and point of view that everybody can be a leader if they want to accept the challenge and if they want to lean into that. It kind of comes from I don't even know, an internal locus of control belief that the world is happening and I can have an impact. I can step into that. And so what I started to see in the market was a need for sort of a fearlessly authentic leadership movement. And it was missing. It was missing in the marketplace. The focus was on leadership development competencies and helping people give good feedback. And all those things are important as you're developing teams and change management, et cetera. But I didn't feel like people were tapping into their own authentic leadership style. They were trying to put themselves into a particular box, whether it was sort of the flavor of the month, whether it was servant leadership or whatever. So we wanted to start, my partner Jillian Lapetito and I wanted to start a company, a movement, if you will, that helped people really step into their fearlessly authentic selves and to operate in an environment and to create an environment that has a lot of psychological safety so that the people in and around them can also embrace their fearlessly authentic selves.
And I find this so fascinating, especially the locus of control, which is a psychology term that many people don't hear that often. I'm wondering what you felt were some of the roadblocks to people really, and especially women, let's talk about women specifically, that women came across in order to really tap into that authentic self.
I think the number one is imposter syndrome. And I have sort of a controversial stand on this. I think imposter syndrome is phenomenal. I think we should embrace it. I think we should celebrate it. I think it makes us better leaders. It makes us more curious, more humble, more interested in learning from others. And I think it's important to understand that we don't know everything and we never will. And accept that and embrace that and use that as a secret weapon that encourages one to continually seek out support, learning, and more information from others. One of my favorite things to say is, I don't know, but I'll find out, because that means I'm about to go learn something new and different.
It's funny because we actually have a second podcast that We Global Studios does called Mindset for Success that focuses almost exclusively on mental health related issues and imposter syndrome and various things that women struggle with. So for our listeners, why don't you define a little bit about what imposter syndrome is, just in case some listeners might not know?
Well, especially as it pertains to women, research has told us over and over again that men are often promoted into roles or given extra responsibility based on potential, whereas women are promoted into more senior roles or given more responsibility based on work they've already done. And that, coupled with the fact that women think they have at something before they step out and give an opinion. And when they are called on to give an opinion, they often feel like, oh gosh, I'm an imposter. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough experience, etc. And it holds them back. And often that noise is so loud in their head, they can't, they have like a fight or flight response, and they can't think clearly. They can't be their most innovative selves, etc. And so my response is, rather than trying to convince yourself that you are good enough and to beat down the imposter syndrome, I say we are who we are. We don't know everything. If you're put in a situation where you don't have the answers, say, I don't know. I'm confident enough to say, I don't know. Let's go find out. Let's go speak to an attorney. Let's go find an investment specialist. Let's go talk to the CPAs. Let's go find a subject matter expert. And let's lead from the edges. Let's bring smart people together. Let's collaborate. and let's come up with a better solution. Because imposter syndrome often, as you're trying to beat it, you'll fake it, and that doesn't make anybody feel more confident.
Right, exactly. And do you feel that there are certain strategies that really help to booster that up for women who maybe struggle with it?
I think, I mean, I've given women homework when I'm coaching them to go to the next situation and say, I don't know. And I'll find out. Just saying the words, I don't know. And you know what? It's amazing. The world keeps spinning. The sun keeps shining. The birds are chirping. And what people find is that they get more respect by accepting that and bringing together the people who can help with the right answer.
Going back a little bit to the locus of control, I'm hypothesizing whether some of that, and I'm probably projecting here based on my own background here, just to be completely upfront, I'm wondering whether that skill is facilitated if at a young age you were given a lot of responsibility and independence, so you developed a sense of security in your ability to figure it out.
I think that's true. And I also think it's with my own children, I never celebrated their success. So if somebody studied hard and did well on a test and brought home a good grade, I never said, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. I always said, wow, you must be so proud of yourself. Or wow, how does that feel? Because I wanted them to internalize it, that they took control. They owned the process, and they achieved the results they were going for. And so I do think that's true. I was given a lot of responsibility as a child, and a lot was expected of me. And I stepped up. So I felt that I had control over a lot of things in my world as they were happening. I wouldn't say I had control over things in the world, but I could impact the outcomes. It didn't happen to me. It happened, and I could impact that.
And in your own practice, so talk to us a little bit about leaderology. So how has it been a couple years now that you've started your own firm?
Yes. So Jillian and I had the brilliant idea to start a firm in the most crazy time of our lives, right before a pandemic and a recession decided to hit. So we started the company. It was 2 years ago, February 1st of this year of 2021. And we, in a lot of ways, it wasn't a startup. It was more like a rocket launch. The relationships that we had developed over the years in the community 100% surrounded us and lifted us. And we were immediately successful and immediately financially secure through those relationships and people championing us and fighting to be our first customer. So we launched, we had tremendous success. And then coming into 2020, we're in a position to say to the team, look, there's this bizarre pandemic beating down the door. We will definitely be going into a recession, but we have a full year's salary in the bank for each of you. So you're safe. If we don't make one more deal for a year, you're safe. Let's pivot. Let's be our most innovative selves, our most creative selves, and let's go big. And the team stepped up to the challenge and just crushed it. So it was a stressful and exciting time.
Wow, that's incredible. And for our listeners, because they may not, they wouldn't know this, but you were fortunate enough to have left corporate work that was in the same field, so you were able to leverage that experience and those relationships to start fuel your business when you started your own company. So let's discuss a little bit, because I'm curious in terms of your pivot, which is so exciting. So how did you pivot during COVID in an entrepreneurial way that you felt really helped you grow your business?
So we have always delivered the leadership development programs and executive coaching one-on-one, face-to-face, or in cohorts face-to-face. And we had been moving slowly in the direction of having sort of a multimodality online learning, virtual learning, instructor-led learning, etc., but hadn't fully committed. And so when COVID-19 hit, it became clear that we needed to accelerate that process and go after it in a much more intentional way. And it actually solved for a tremendous number of problems that we were experiencing. So, for example, companies are comfortable flying executives all over for leadership development training. They don't want to invest that kind of money at the more frontline leadership level. And our programs are all cohort-based and are designed to be facilitated over a series of workshops, not sort of a all-in-one 2-day kind of program. And they don't like flying frontline leaders around for that kind of a program. It's not financially viable. So for us to create these programs that are multimodality, that have instructor-led training, that have e-learning, that have a portal for the cohort to be communicating and collaborating, is cost effective for them and super high quality content. So we quickly created those or modified our content to a different deliverable modality, and the market went wild. So it's been fun.
And do you find that your business in terms of the industries that you're working with has changed, or are you pretty committed to a couple industries?
No, we're across all industries. It's expanded, if nothing else. Again, because we are able to work more readily with frontline leaders with huge dispersed populations all over the world. So the industries never really matter. Leadership development is leadership development, and we are able to customize it and tailor it to be appropriate for that company and that industry, regardless.
And do you find that you're working more with men versus women, or an equal balance?
It depends on the level. So just as you would imagine, the higher up the organizational ladder one goes, the bulk of the people we're working with are male.
Interesting. And do you ever work with individuals who are trying to transition from one position to another position or pivot completely in their careers?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I started my career as a career counselor and helping people through transition, typically when they're leaving the organization. But in this particular company, we aren't working in the outplacement industry, but we do a lot of helping people as they're assimilating into a new role from one position to the next, and lots of high potentials. Companies are investing in leaders. They see it as a true differentiator, as a way to attract the best of the best. There still is a war on talent, even now, and companies understand the critical nature of developing those leaders.
Well, us gals need you, so I hope that you're going to be doing more work with women in the future, and that they find you.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, before we start talking about the hacks, which are critically important, I wanted to just touch base on your advice for other organizations that are trying to offer, excellent services, but there's budget restrictions. And I know that your organization has actually been pretty innovative and very community-based and has done a lot of really wonderful kind of pro bono type work. I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
It's our favorite thing to do. We are, whether it's coaching on call during the beginning of the pandemic, giving away coaching just to any leader who needed the support, or our Praxis program, which is helping find those students, BIPOC students, who are coming up through the university system that need paid internships so that they can enter into the workplace and become part of the leadership pipeline. We are not keeping score. We don't have an agenda. We're just going into the community as much as possible and using the talents that we have to help to help our community, right? Medtronic gave away ventilator specs so people could copy their ventilators when we needed ventilators, and companies were making masks. We don't have those skills. Our skills are on developing leaders, and so we want to make sure that we're giving that away as much as possible. And it's coming back to us tenfold, both in actual paid business, but more importantly, just in how it makes us feel about the work we're doing in our mission.
That's fabulous. And what about this Stevie Award? How did that come about?
That was all from my team. The team is very proud of the work we're doing. They're proud that we're a women-owned business, and they are out applying for these different awards all over the place. And so the Stevie Award, they applied. We actually won 2, and they recognized the work we were doing in leadership development. They recognized the great work we were doing for the community. And also, in our first year and a half in business, 3 of the leaders on the team gave birth to babies. So in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of trying to grow, in the middle of my own father's passing, we had 3 women out, 3 senior women on the team out having beautiful babies. And it was important to us. So, look, everybody knows women are paid, 80 cents on the dollar or something compared to men. Then they go out and they have children because somebody has to. And the disability system pays them, I think it's 60% or something of the 80% that they're already making. So the impact, the financial impact of having a child is insane.
Right.
The mortgage companies don't say, "Oh gosh, you're out on maternity leave. We'll drop your mortgage payments, 70% or something." So we bridge their salaries while they're out. We hold their jobs, of course, while they're out, which is a small company that's not legally mandated. But not only is it the right thing to do, it's good business.
Yeah.
This is top talent, and I want to retain and attract top talent. I don't want to lose these women, and I want them to know they're safe. They're in a psychologically safe place. Their careers are safe. They're financially safe, and we're killing it.
You're leading by example as well, which is phenomenal. I can't believe we're almost out of time. So I'm going to quickly jump to something that you've already chatted with me about privately. So I'm going to jump right in, which is you've mastered one of the best hacks of all, which is customer acquisition. And a conversation you and I had, which was, I thought, really kind of blew me away. The fact that you really don't have to spend any money to acquire customers, because you are working on a referral relationship with HR divisions within companies, and they bring your clients to you.
Correct.
That's like every founder's dream.
So these HR professionals are the unsung heroes. They always have the company's best interests in mind. They're always looking for great solutions. And as long as I communicate with them, support them, add service and add value to their lives, they've got the clients. They each have, 800 internal customers that they're trying to support and find solutions for every day. They understand our differentiators. They understand the value we bring. And so they're calling and saying, "Hey, Marissa, I need help with X or Y or Z." And Jillian and I and the rest of the team surround them, support them, provide them with what they need. And then when the applause comes, we're very happy to step back and let them take the bows, because they are the ones who are doing the heavy lifting.
That's very smart. Well, Marissa, we are out of time, sadly. I wish we could do another part 2, but we'll have to have you back for part 2. So thank you so much for being on Startup Hacks today. Yes, your suggestions were great, and the work that you're doing in the leadership area is just phenomenal. So if any of our listeners would like to reach out to you or learn more about your company, do you have a website that you'd like to share?
Sure. We are leaderology.com, and it's spelled just like it sounds, leaderology. And we'd love to meet and talk to anybody.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And let's tune in next week for more startup hacks. We have another great show that you won't want to miss on the secret female founder strategies that will save you time and money when building your business. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by We Global Studios, the first startup innovation studio and digital do-it-yourself startup platform for women entrepreneurs around the world. For more information on our guests, this podcast, and many other female founder programs, please visit weglobalstudios.com. I'm your host, Fernanda Carapinha, and we will see you next week.